Stop swirling. Go. Oh. Shavua Tov, Agutvach. A story I read today. I'm not quite sure there's a miracle going on, but it sure tells you about the value of saying the right thing to the right person, what they need to hear. And as we approach Tisha B'Av and we focus on loving other people, part of loving another person, I think, means giving them what they need. And that's something the Rebbe tried to inculcate in us when we reach out to another person to give them what they need. This is a story that was shared by Rabbi Berkowitz, who spent a good number of years in Russia, but this story took place when he was a younger man, somewhere in the middle 90s, when he was still single, and he would travel in the summertime to visit far-flung Jewish communities, in this case, in Alaska. And he and a friend were out in northwest Alaska, in the very ends of Alaska. And they approached the mayor, and he said, really, I don't think there's any Jews in this city. Most people are Native Americans. But he invited them to go to the local school and speak to the children. So they came and they were talking with the fourth and eighth graders, fourth through eighth. They had a little assembly, and they spoke to them about some basic teachings of Judaism. And after they finished talking, they asked the students, has anyone here ever met a Jew? And one fourth grader raised her hand and said, yes, I met a Jew. So Rabbi Berkowitz said, and who did you meet? And she points over to the teacher of the fifth grade and says, my mother. She's Jewish. So after the assembly, the mother approached the rabbi, and she was quite emotional, and she thanked him for coming. And she described how, as a youngster, whatever, when she graduated from college, she really loved nature, and therefore she came to this end of Alaska and fell in love and married, and this is her child. And she said, I don't think my child will ever meet another rabbi again. Perhaps you can give her a message so she can be proud of her Jewish identity. The poor rabbi's mind is racing. Here he's got a kind of the one and only chance to say something profound and meaningful and long-lasting to this child who knows that her mother is Jewish, obviously didn't know she was Jewish, and for the first time someone's going to say something to her about the importance and the preciousness and the value of being Jewish. So sometimes we're lucky and Hashem puts the right words into our mouth at the right time for the right person. And he realized that the Rebbe always wanted to empower a person and give them something they can relate to. So he began to speak a little bit about Shabbat. And how does Shabbat begin? How does it get welcomed in? Through women making a blessing over the candles. So he asks his little girl, do you know where the sun sets first in the world? I'm not sure I would know, but this little girl said either New Zealand or Australia. And he said, that's correct. And then as the sun continues to move to the west, so the Shabbat is welcomed and welcomed and welcomed in Asia and then in the United States. And so he asked the girl, he says, where do you think is the last place in the world where the sun sets? And she said, I guess Alaska. So basically he said to her, you should know that the entire world is waiting for you in Yupik, Alaska, to welcome in the Shabbat. And you complete the circle and you finish the job. And this had a very inspiring message to the girl and to the mother. And it's a story he's told many, many times. But to think that the whole world's Shabbat depends on that one little girl as well. So Hashem's waiting and watching and hoping that each and every one of us brings light to the world, shows love, and makes this world a place ready for Mashiach. Have a great week. If you have to have a fast, may it be an easy fast. May God turn this fast into a day of joy. Shavua Tov.
Fantastico.
You know what he tells her that I never heard before?